Many people like to think about codependence as if codependents were somehow, noble beings being victimized by toxic people like narcissists or borderlines or psychopaths who tend to use these people because some people might say they're easy prey to the toxic ones. But that's not really true. I mean, that's partially true, and it's just one way of looking at it. Because, as a matter of fact, codependents themselves are quite toxic. They do have quite heavily unhealed trauma, generally from childhood. These wounds from having unstable, unreliable relationships with their caregivers. And that reflects in who they are today. So, codependents, they share a similar feeling to a lot of toxic people, which is this certain emptiness, this being without purpose. So while some people say, narcissists, psychopaths, borderlines might target codependents, it's also true to say that codependents target those people. Because codependents, they like when they when the codependent has their eyes set on somebody, or when somebody's giving them attention, and all of a sudden they think, "Oh, I like that attention. That felt good. I want more of it." Codependents tend to be all in very quickly. In a sense, they're almost volunteering to be enmeshed with the person. Like very forwardly, codependents like to place themselves in another person's life very quickly. And they all of a sudden, they like to enmesh with the other person's activities. Like the other person's a high earner or has good social status or, has interesting projects. The codependent likes to be kind of associated with all of that very quickly. And all of a sudden, they like to make the other person suddenly feel responsible for them because there's two kind of sides to that. Like if you, on the other hand, on the other side, if you're the toxic person and you have this person who's all in, who's ready to meet your needs because they have their own needs that need to be met, it can be quite appealing or flattering at first for the narcissist or the psychopath to kind of accept this person as their new supply. But on the other hand, the codependent becomes very demanding. You know, it's almost like the codependent looking for a caretaker, someone who on the surface has drive, on the surface has purpose. Because a lot of times, I mean, you do come across some toxic people that are kind of living that dream. They do. Some are very high functioning and do have good things going on for themselves. And the ones who don't have good things going on for themselves, oftentimes they appear to have good things going on for themselves because they put on that fake facade. And in that kind of drive, that really attracts the codependent. And all of a sudden, the codependent suddenly wants to be a part of that and benefit by association. And they're willing to supply the toxic person very well, if that makes sense. They're very attentive. They help put the toxic person on a pedestal to kind of butter the toxic person up so the toxic person is more receptive of the codependent. And then the codependent becomes all in. And then all of a sudden, they have high expectations. It's like the codependent expects the borderline, the narcissist, the psychopath, to meet their needs, to make them feel special, to make them feel fulfilled. In a way, they're looking for their own kind of codependent supply. So, codependency is a very toxic trait because it means the codependent expects a lot from the other person so that they feel like, their bonding needs are fulfilled. But they place way too much responsibility on the other party. And if you kind of look through all of that, many people would say that codependents are like very, very, very vulnerable covert narcissists, of the most vulnerable type, of the most insecure type. I wouldn't necessarily say they would 100% fit that, but you could run the argument, if you look at the behaviors and traits, that many people who claim to be codependents, or many people who just are codependents or who display codependent traits, are very similar to what could otherwise be considered a very vulnerable narcissist who needs to associate with somebody else, even if that person's toxic, to feel good about themselves. But here's the thing, codependency is very toxic. And because it's very toxic, it means that healthy people don't tend to want to form long-term relationships with codependents, because codependency comes with a series of red flags, which basically means codependents naturally match up with toxic people because the healthy people won't really give them the light of day. They'll associate with them on professional, superficial, maybe amicable terms, but when you want something deep meaning, relationship, bonding, the healthy people don't really bond with that because there's too many red flags. Healthy people who are well adjusted, they don't feel attracted to that. They feel repelled by it. And that's why codependents and narcissists and, toxic people of that variety, they naturally attract each other because they're really like two sides of the same coin. Oh, sorry, maybe two opposite sides of the same coin, but there's natural attractiveness. So yeah, when you think about codependency, there's nothing noble about being a codependent. Codependents are very toxic. Codependents often carry their own narcissistic traits because they want to feel grandiose by associating with somebody else who they see as being greater than them. And they demand a lot from that person, and they hold that person accountable to making them feel good. And that's why, when they're with certain people, they'll make those other people feel engulfed to the point where things just don't work out. All very dramatic. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.